to be honest, risk exists everywhere, be it in ASEAN or elsewhere in Europe or even in America. And the risks are all pretty much, I would say, similar. For instance, I think, but the crucial thing to take note is that whenever you're a new organization trying to implement something in ASEAN, one key thing to note is that you need to find in terms of accountability. So you really need to have this key sponsored person that is running the ground and knows the ground to actually help to push for the technology to be adopted. Because a lot of problems faced by a lot of companies is that because they perhaps rely on the wrong business partner, the solution is not being effectively rolled out in the country itself that they want to work with, right? So that's more in terms of the people or how you can get the people to work. Number two, you need to really understand in terms of the government. Of course, stability of the government is definitely important. At the same time, you need to know in terms of the government policy, how much are they driving this initiative? Are they really putting in a lot of incentives to get the industry to adopt the solution, or are they just talking about it and not really, putting the money on where they're trying to talk, right? So, government policy definitely, regulations. At the same time, you also have to look into things like, for instance, whether there is any external factors that you can't control. For instance, now with the COVID-19, right? That's a pandemic that's affecting the world globally. So that itself is affecting a lot of the government initiatives that is pushing forward, because right now worldwide, every government is getting their hands every budget available to look into getting vaccinations, getting hospital supplies. So that again is going to stifle the development of a smart city. Not with that being said, it's not saying that it's going to stop permanently, but you're talking about a longer runway for adopting of the solution. So you need to be able to you need to go on the long run to really see how you can actually push forward a technology to be applied in ASEAN right now, especially in this current climate. So, like I said, the first thing is always in terms of cost, right? So in my experience, when I interact with a lot of the real estate developers or even government agencies, it's always about whether at that point in time, they need the solution. And in most cases, they may not even know that they need the solution. But on the other hand, they also need to know what are the most pressing problem right now. If right now, for instance, because of the pandemic, it's affecting the construction site progression because of a lack of manpower, then they definitely have to look into solutions that can fix this immediate issue first. Whether there's any way to automate the process such that it can replace the reliance of manual manpower, and at the same time, the cost of adopting a solution. If it's just really minute cost and it's something that is worth the risk of adopting it is very low, then that again will be one consideration factor for them to adopt a solution. As long as that solution is not going to affect too much of their current operation and it has enough of marketing branding for them, then that will be a higher likelihood of them adopting the new solution. So in fact, if whichever company you're at or from that is pushing for smart technology, right, or whichever solution, usually there is the ROI justification. But then again, comes down to the point of, like I said, how important is it for that, for instance, real estate developer or government agencies to adopt the solution right now? Is it going to fulfill the current pain points, the more immediate pain points? If it's not, then to them it's actually a good to have. But if you manage to show that the solution that you provide can address some of the top 5 key pain points, then the probability of them adopting is a lot higher, despite all the return on investment justification that you have. Well, that's the thing. Whether you're a small developer or a large developer, definitely in terms of a large developer, they have a bit more spare cash. But at the same time, they have more investors to justify the cost of implementing, right? So a smaller company actually have in a way more buying power. They have shorter decision-making levels. So as long as the solution can prove that it can help their company, let's say, win more projects, or and lower their cost of production, so they will still be a bit more willing to adopt the solution. At the same time, because for smaller companies to actually go against the larger competitors, they themselves need to actually show how they are providing the best quality still, despite being small, to attract buyers, right? So ultimately, whether you're small or big, they themselves both have I would say the want for adopting smart technology to enhance their, in terms of productivity, or increase their win rate for a project. So before the pandemic happened, in fact, myself has been going out to share on smart city solutions. There've always been like somewhat of a lukewarm demand, I would say, right? So they have to just look into things like what's the existing regulation again from the government, whether they comply to those regulations to get the building built. But that was then. So when post-pandemic, where reality actually kicks in, where especially in like Singapore, where we rely heavily a lot of foreign manpower for the low scale labor on the construction side. But because of the pandemic, a lot of these foreign laborers are not able to come in. So a lot of these construction sites have been stalled because there isn't sufficient manpower. So costs for actually doing the construction has gone up twice or three times more than the original plan cost. So that itself became a major problem for real estate developers, right? So how are they going to build the site that can still fit into their current budget? So with that being said, how can they get the construction site to start moving? Because if you guys are familiar, we actually had this issue where a lot of the foreign laborers got infected in the dormitories. So that affected a lot of the construction workers to be on site to work on the construction, right? So how are they going to fix that? So that's where there's a development or adoption of newer technologies like temperature sensors, contact tracing, even things like test sites to really test on how many workers are already on site. How do you monitor manage the labor on site? Whether there's any technology that they can adopt to ensure that these workers are not breaching any safety distancing rules. If even how you adopt technology in every building with temperature sensors, contact tracing. So definitely, again, because of the post-pandemic, there's a lot more drive towards adopting smarter technology. But again, it really looks into which are the more immediate pain points they can address. So if you are talking about a technology that help address the management of labors or site workers, or you are talking about technology whereby, let's say I'm a shopping mall developer, right? I want to give people like consumers, shoppers, the ease of mind to go to their shopping mall to shop and not be afraid of getting the virus and stuff. So I'll look into investing in robots that do like UV technology to sanitize the areas, just to give people the assurance that the building is well managed, fully sanitized, or even the hotels. They're doing things like that, adopting such technology to actually enhance the, reduce maybe like contact. So you're talking about mobile payment, or touch-free payment. So these are the areas where you can actually help to solve the immediate key pain points of removing that fear of people contacting the virus. So technology that can address this kind of fears are definitely the most welcome right now at this point in time, especially with this pandemic.